are outside the Watercolour Museum in Mexico City, about to meet Tere Lorejo, who's going to show us around. Here we are in Mexico City with Tere Lorejo, Vice President of IWS Globe, and she's going to show us around the Museum of Watercolor. Is there a name for it? Special name?
Alfredo Guati Rojo. That's the name of the founder of the museum.
Okay.
Yes, so it's the National Watercolor Museum, Alfredo Guati Rojo, the founder of this museum, which is located at the south of the city, Coyoacan, in a very, very nice neighborhood, as Ian can say.
Oh yeah, and he donated his house basically to make a watercolor museum.
Well, he negotiated with the government to have this house for the museum, and at the same time he was living here. You see, this was the house where Alfredo Guati Rojo, Master Guati Rojo, was living at the very beginning. Right now, because he passed away many years ago, so right now these are the offices, and here at the front we can see the collection of the museum, and there you can see the temporary hall for all the exhibitions. We also have very beautiful gardens, and first we will see a sculptoric space in which some pupils, some students can take classes.
Great.
Let's come here, because today there is a group from the USA that will have a guided visit here, and also we'll start to painting watercolor. So the museum has prepared everything for them, and they will have the classes here. This is the sculptures, all based in our pre-Hispanic culture, yeah. And they have this space. This space is also for children, the watercolor classes for children. And now, let's go this way. You can see the fountain devoted to the workers of this museum, which clean and maintain all the installations. Okay, and now we will go to the temporary hall. And at the very end, we will go into the collection of this museum. As you can see, there are all over this place, there are sculptures with pre-Hispanic information, because he was really in love of our culture, our Mexican culture.
Was he from Mexico or?
Yeah. In fact, his last name, Guati, is a Mexican name, a Nahuatl name.
Great.
Okay, let's go.
Beautiful
gardens.
gardens.
Our gardens.
Yeah.
The gardens, full of flowers. We are very lucky to have this museum in this place that is very peaceful and very beautiful. And here you can see the installation of the temporary halls where the biennial in which Canada took part, the works were exhibited here. And the name of this galleria is Berta Pietrasanta, Alfredo Guati Rojo's wife, who was always supporting him because they didn't have children and they devoted all their lives to watercolor.
Wow.
Alfredo Guati Rojo, yes. And the exhibit today is devoted to masters and their students. So you will have watercolors from children, amateurs, and all the people. We have classes here in this museum, many kind of classes, also for disabled people. And if you can see, all the information here is also dedicated to the people that cannot see very well.
Oh,
so
braille.
Yeah, they have the braille.
Right. Oh, I see.
Yeah. auditorium. It is very complete. This museum is very complete and devoted only to watercolor. We have there an auditorium, and you can see all the murals that we have here were made by Alfredo Rojo.
Oh, nice.
All of them.
It's a beautiful place and beautiful weather. When I left Canada, it was 0 degrees. Everything is brown. Everything is gray, and here it's just so beautiful and green and sunny.
We can go this side. All this because the master that is coming from Bolivia uses a lot of water. So that's why they have prepared this. And we have here concerts and also lectures and workshops and many things. And now let's go to see the collection of the museum, the permanent collection. Now we can come in here. This is the permanent collection. To start, we have a little store with some books and information and prints of Alfredo Rojo paintings and other artists as well. So, see it. And by the way, here is the catalog of the last Biennale where Canada participated.
Oh, yeah.
Let me see where's Canada because
there's Ingrid Lefebvre.
yeah. Look.
Oh yeah.
And all these, this hall is very important because here you will find watercolors of the pre-Hispanic culture, and they are original. I mean,
the ancient history of watercolor.
Yeah, here in Mexico,
Yeah.
this is very particular. And here you have, remember, all the murals were made by Alfredo Rojo. But he based this information. Can you see that hand? Yes, that hand was the representation of the painters of the Aztec culture. Those who were painting the murals and things in Teotihuacan and in other parts. And the name of these painters was Tlaquilo. And the main award of this museum when we have contest is Tlaquilo, which means the painter of the Aztecs.
Oh yeah.
And also all the poems that are here are poems of that time. I mean from the Aztecs. That's very important. You see? The identity of that hand. The hand that painted so many things. This is the paintings, these are the paintings of Alfredo Rojo. He was, he was in love with watercolor, but he also worked in many other techniques, oil, acrylics, pastels, charcoal. And he was a very complete artist, but also a great promoter of watercolor. He founded this museum, the first museum of watercolor in the world. So I believe that Alfredo Rojo was a really important figure for the watercolor all around the world. He also encourages some artists in Europe to set the watercolor associations as the Federation of Watercolor in Europe, and also associations in Spain, in Italy, in Colombia. So he was great, a great promoter. But from this hall on, we started with the watercolor in the 18th century in Mexico. Including all the paintings of all that people that were artists, but also were working with watercolor at that time and just as sketches, as we know. But in the next halls upstairs, you will see the modern watercolor. Of course, presenting here many of the most representative watercolors in Mexico, but also starting to show the watercolor of all countries. This is the International Hall. We started, well, no, the museum started to collect international watercolors since 1994. Of the museum is bigger than this one. Sometimes they are changing the painting for all people to see all the collection. This one, the painting of this man, he was one of the most representative muralists in Mexico, and we call them Dr. Atl. Atl in Nahuatl means water. Is one of the best watercolorists in Mexico. In fact, in the other museum in Mexico, in Toluca City, there is a big collection of Edgardo Coyoacan. You all to come here to Coyoacan, to visit us, to have plein airs, to have workshops.
All right, hope you enjoyed that. It's Tere Lorejo. Lorejo, I say it right?
Yeah, right.
So hope you enjoyed this tour and hope you can make it down to and see it for your own eyes. This beautiful watercolor museum, unique in the world.
Yeah, unique in the world, and the first one. Because right now in the world, I think we are more or less 7 watercolor museums in the world, in different countries.
It's the first one I've ever heard of myself. So. Yes, definitely worth a visit. See you soon.